Shortly after Brian Koberger's arrest, police started looking at old cases to see whether Koberger might be linked. One of those cases was a burglary in Pullman, Washington. On October 10th, 2021, more than a year before the murders in Moscow, some young women living in a house in Pullman called police after one of them said a person with a knife came into her bedroom. A Pullman police officer's body camera recorded her describing exactly what happened.
So I have a couple questions for you.
Okay.
Where did you see this person?
I was asleep, and then I woke up
Okay.
And it was just me and Sadie home at the time, and we both lived down in the basement, and my door was closed. I heard my door open, and I looked over, and someone was wearing a ski mask and had a knife like this.
Okay.
And so I kicked the out of their stomach and screamed super loud, and they flew back into my closet and then ran out my door and up the stairs.
Okay, and that's the last you know as they ran up the stairs?
Yeah, and then when they got home, this back door was wide open.
Okay, how long ago did this happen?
Maybe 15, 20 minutes at most.
Okay. And so between the four of you, it's the whole house?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
No one else is there?
What this young woman described is terrifying. The officers searched the house to make sure that it was safe and then brought the young woman back in and talked to the victim again. The video is redacted because it was recorded inside the house.
I really could not tell you if it was a guy or a girl.
Oh, okay.
When I first looked at them, I thought it was a girl. I mean, I only looked at them for a second, and then
So which room is yours?
this one.
So the victim offered some important information there. She said she couldn't tell whether the person with the knife was a man or a woman. At this point, the student reenacted the encounter with the person who was in her room with the knife.
So I was sleeping right here, and I'm a really heavy sleeper, but I heard the door open,
Oh, okay.
and I saw someone, I saw the ski mask first, and I rolled over, and I was like, what the heck? And then they literally were like this above me with the
So,
knife. And then
is this what the lighting was like at that point?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, this is exactly what it would have been.
Can you describe the knife for me?
It looked like kind of a smaller knife.
Okay.
A smaller knife. It wasn't like a huge, anything. It kind of looked like just a smaller steak knife.
Okay.
And so, yeah, I just rolled over and kicked them, and they fell back into the closet.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Do you know if they would be taller or shorter than you?
They were shorter than you.
Oh, okay.
They would probably come to about, maybe here on you.
Oh, okay, so pretty short.
Yeah, they were pretty short. That's the one thing I noticed.
Thick, thin?
I couldn't say for sure, but I don't think either really side.
So you're saying like a ski mask? Any glasses or lenses or anything?
Burgundy. Oh, okay. Pretty sure it was a burgundy ski mask. Yeah, no glasses.
Did you get a sense of eyes or skin tone or anything?
Not really. It was so fast.
Yeah, no, I totally get that. I'm just...
Yeah. I wish I remembered more.
The next day, police went back to the street and spoke with neighbors and others to see if they knew anything about what happened, including a neighbor the young woman said smoked outside.
Pullman police, search warrant, come to the door!
Then, about 8 days later, they returned to the neighbor's house looking for possible evidence. This was the apartment for the neighbor that sometimes smoked outside, and police had said another neighbor had filed a complaint against him for entering her apartment and watching her sleep several times. An officer also talked to the victim again.
Did you remember anything else about his appearance, the knife, anything like that?
I really didn't. I've honestly kind of remembered less ever since it happened, but I don't know. He was wearing a ski mask, I'm pretty sure, gloves, and black hoodie, sweatpants, something like that.
Okay. And then can you describe the length of the knife to me?
I would say a little bit bigger than a steak knife is what I remembered right after it happened. Maybe just a smidge bigger than a steak knife, but not a butcher knife or anything.
Can you give me a hand estimate? Because
Maybe that.
Okay. If you want to hold your hands kind of down that way, I'm going to take a picture of your estimate there. And is that with the handle or without?
Just the blade.
Okay, with the handle, how long would you say?
Maybe that long.
Okay. Did you see the handle at all?
No, it was in his hand. Okay.
Police did not charge the neighbor because they said they didn't have probable cause, and the case to this day remains unsolved. Fast forward to January of 2023, days after Brian Koberger's arrest, and someone in the Pullman Police Department started asking questions about Brian Koberger. A Pullman officer wrote in a supplemental report on the burglary, although Koberger would not have been residing in Pullman during October 2021, Commander Brashears advised that Pullman Police Department had received information that WSU's Department of Criminal Justice and Criminology may have had an on-campus event for prospective graduate students that Koberger may have attended around the time of this incident. I emailed the department's graduate program coordinator, Danielle Macon, requesting information. Macon responded the following day and wrote that the department was looking into my request. Now, it was worth looking into. Both incidents involved a knife, although one was a large K-bar, and the Pullman incident involved what was described as a small steak knife. And in both incidents, the perpetrator wore a mask. But in the Pullman incident, the burglar was described as short, maybe 5'3" or 5'5". Danielle Macon wrote in an email to another staff member, "Okay, so I figured out who I met with on October 15th, and it was BK Norton. I think we can safely tell Pullman PD that we are not aware of any visit from Koberger during the period they indicated. We did not hold a recruitment event during that time and actually did not hold an in-person one that fall anyway." So Koberger was determined to not be involved in the burglary in Pullman in October 2021, and the burglary was placed on inactive status. But what could this incident mean possibly for Koberger, if anything at all?